Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ciordia, and I'm going to be talking about the article The Antisocial Century by Derek Thompson. He argues that Americans like spending time alone more than ever before, and that's causing a shift and changing our mental health, relationships, our politics. He gives an example about how he went to a restaurant with his family and the bar area was empty. The only thing that was there was like brown paper bags for to-go orders. And he discussed how people would rather just order food to go, pick it up and go home, rather than interacting with other real people, humans, and socializing. And then they talk about how like the drinks and dinner with friends has declined by more than 30% in the past 20 years. And also he talks about how younger adults or young people are socially underdeveloped and they aren't hanging with friends like before, like in previous generations. They socialize less, which is causing socially stunted adults. He mentions how it's affecting our politics as well. Being isolated at home makes us weaker and also more angry at times, and this results in political polarization. Because we don't interact with others as much, we become less tolerant of people who have different views or thoughts or opinions than we do, especially political views. And then he talks about how important our village is, which is like our neighbors or people we would interact with that we don't necessarily have like a close relationship with. But he mentions how this helps us practice productive disagreement and compromise. He gives an example of the parents at the PTA and how they have different views politically, but their children go to school together, they play together, and this just helps you peacefully. These interactions help you peacefully coexist, although they have different views. And then he talks about an experiment on the train ride, how they had some people talk to a stranger for 15 minutes and some stayed silent, and the ones that talked to a stranger felt more positive after that experience. And then he also just talks about how we can still change this around, these behaviors, and we can move out of this antisocial century. And one of the quotes that I liked was, "It's not that I'm never lonely, it's that my moment-to-moment experiences of life is better because I've learned to take that space of life and make friends in it." And I agree with Derek Thompson that more people are choosing to stay home and isolate themselves more than ever. I can see the changes in our society. People are less empathetic and view people of different political views or parties as enemies. You see families cutting off other family members or close friends just because of their political views. That is something I've never seen before. I can also see some of those characteristics in myself at times. If I'm on social media too much, it can make you a little bit angry or even sad or upset. It's just a lot of emotions if you're on it too long. Also, like how he mentions that people get excited when their friends cancel their plans and they make these little trendy videos on TikTok all excited because their plans got canceled. I can see that in myself sometimes too. I feel like, oh, okay, I hope they cancel tonight, and if they do, I'm happy. So spending time in isolation is not good, especially for those for kids and young adults that have developing minds. I also agree that we can still change our society and reverse what this isolation has caused in our world today. Okay, and then I'm gonna summarize his argument. Thompson argues that Americans choosing to spend more time alone and isolated is causing this shift in our society and politics. He states that COVID accelerated this behavior that was already kind of trending. It just made it go way faster. And according to Enghin Adelaide, an economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, Americans spent even more time alone in 2023 than they did in 2021. The result of isolation is causing a rise in depression and anxiety, especially in teens and young adults. A study was conducted in 2023 on high school kids and found that more than half of the girls said they felt persistently sad or hopeless. People are spending more times on their screens and less time interacting with actual real people. Messaging apps are used more, social media, AI. It keeps us engaged and entertained with content that is usually like what we believe, our thoughts and opinions. Young people aren't choosing to hang out with friends or go on dates or even get a driver's license like before. According to the American Time Use Survey, young men are increasing their alone time at a faster rate than any other group. Thompson states it's making society weaker, meaner, and more delusional. He discusses how the middle ring, which is our familiar and not intimate relationships, such as neighbors or people like at school, are being destroyed, and this is the village that can teach us how to be tolerant. If we interact with a person from a different political party or at a kid's school, we can disagree and coexist, but without that experience, real life experience, we don't get that tolerance, and we might view them as an enemy or in a negative light. Isolation is causing political polarization, which threatens our democracy. People don't trust or want to compromise with people or even our leaders. They don't trust them. Having different political views is now dividing our society. It's like we cannot coexist because of the loss of tolerance and empathy in our society. He warns about these dangers, but is also hopeful that we can make changes to reverse these behaviors. And I like this quote. Thompson says, "Our smallest actions create norms. Our norms create values. Our values drive behavior, and our behaviors cascade." For my evaluation, I agree, and I have seen how some young people in my family, for example, one of my cousins has become a socially stunted adult. He was homeschooled most of his life and plays video games. He spends a lot of time alone in his room. The only interaction is mostly with siblings. He rarely comes to family functions, but when he does, he's a little awkward and quiet. He tries to avoid like face-to-face interactions. And if he does talk to you, it's like very limited, minimal amount. Now that he's 19, he's having a hard time functioning in a job as an adult with other people. I feel like that isolation affected him, and now it's like a disadvantage to him. I also see how society has become less empathetic and meaner, especially online. People are viewing people of different political beliefs or other opinions as the enemy and spewing hate. People's tolerance seems to be non-existent. Also, coworkers always complain about how their teens don't go out with friends really. They're taking forever to get their license. They have no urgency. And I work in healthcare, so I've seen that drastic increase in depression and anxiety, and I believe this has to do with this isolation that's going on. And in summary, Derek Thompson argues and warns that antisocial behaviors are causing damage to democracy, mental health, and society. He explains the importance of social interactions between people, and how we can make a change. And social connection is crucial for a healthier, less divided, democratic society. We can reverse the isolation by being intentional and making small changes, such as the board game cafes, or the lockers at school. Those are small changes that can make a big difference. It's important that we make these changes now to uphold our democracy. We can encourage respectful dialogue across differences to help reduce the risk of polarization in our society. Thank you.